Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful new day. I will give everyone a second to get on. I am excited to be delivering what will be my last training for this decade. So, welcome to everyone. I'm letting everyone get on here as you're logging in. We had over 50 people to register for this, so I'm excited. Hello to those of you who don't know me. My name is Cledra, so we're going to be getting started shortly. It takes a while for the computer to get all of you in, so I'm just giving a few minutes for you to come on in. So welcome. I see people are coming in. So I'm excited to have you here. So I don't know if you guys are able to see the chat. I think I have the chat actually turned off. I did that on purpose, I believe. So welcome, everyone. It's 1:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to be getting started. I'm just going to give it one more minute as you guys are dialing in. So we're going to be talking about making 2020 your new year for your new life. You know, that's what it's all about, having a new life, not a continuation of the life that you've had over this past decade. All right, so I'm going to just go on and get started because we're 2 minutes after, and you guys will, as those of you who are coming in, you can catch up. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here and get going. So here we are, making 2020 your new year for a new life. Welcome. I am Cledra Gross, a Master Certified Life Coach, and I'm going to be walking you through exactly what it takes to create results. And so let's just dive right in here. So this training is for you if you are ready to create new results in your life. And I'm going to ask you to have an open mind and to be coachable. And then the last thing is, if you are willing to apply new concepts and not just consume new concepts. You know, we are living in a time where there's so much out there coming at us. And it's so easy to just be in that mindset of consuming information and reading information and saying, oh, that's good. But actually applying the information is what I'm going to challenge you up front to commit to yourself, to say that what you hear here, I don't want you to have it stay here. I want you to actually implement it in your life, okay? So why did I choose this topic? I know this is a kind of a busy slide, but this is important for you guys to know. Why did I choose this topic? You know, just beginning here on the left, it's actually painful for me to watch women every year, especially this time of the year, to sign up for programs and trainers and coaches with what I consider to be an incomplete solution. And I'll share what I mean by an incomplete solution as we go in on through our training today. Also, the level of unfulfillment in life is at an all-time high. I read an article recently that the level of depression and unfulfillment is higher in society now than it has ever been. Which is ironic, right? Because we have all of these things that supposedly are making life more convenient. However, we are at a level of unfulfillment that's higher than ever. The consumption of pills to feel better is at an all-time high. And listen, I'm not anti-pill or anti-pharma, but what I am is pro-understanding how to cope with life. And so that's another reason I created this training. The other thing is reading posts about women not setting goals or resolutions anymore and settling. I read something recently, a lady had on Facebook. She said, I don't do resolutions anymore. I just accept life as is. And I thought, wow, you know, the results that you want in your life are not going to be naturally created. No one is able to just wing it, you know, to get what God has for you in this life. And so if you're coming to this call and you're one of those people who's given up on resolutions, I want to invite you to suspend that idea and to really get excited about it. And then finally, another reason I created this training is my very own long battle with depression, weight, and just anger with myself for not being able to get it done. Can you relate to that? That you're like, I'm so good in all these other areas of my life. Why am I not able to get the things done that I want to get done in my own? And so is this you? This is a lot of the women that I coach. You're so supported to everyone else, but you're sabotaging yourself. I love this picture of this lady. She's a beautiful woman holding pizza like she's listening to someone else. But can you relate to this? You keep your word to everyone else, but when it comes to you, you are unfaithful to your own word. We're going to be talking about that. You have the gift of making others feel like it's all going to work out, but when it comes to your life, you have doubt and worry and fear, and those things tend to stop you. And then finally, you're ready to create new results. That's why you came to this call, this training. But you wonder, if you were really honest, will this time really be different? You know, I'm not a coach who leads with a lot of excitement. I like to get to the root cause of what's really going on that's blocking you from creating the results that you want to create. And most of the women that I attract, they are so accomplished. They're usually the shoulder or the ear for a lot of people in their life. But then when it comes to them, they're full of a lot of these challenging emotions that keep them from taking the consistent action that they want to take. So this is what you're going to learn today: how all results are created. I'm also going to share with you outdated approaches to avoid. So as you're going through this new year, I'm going to put it out there so that you will not be in that number of that population subscribing to things and using your hard-earned money on outdated approaches. And so I'm going to make sure that you're aware of that. And then finally, I'm going to deliver on the result that I promised that this training would deliver on, and that's how to create new results that you actually want in this new year. We're always creating results. The issue is, are those results that you actually want? And so these are the 3 objectives that I'll deliver for you today. And you want to stay until the end, because I'm going to have something great for you at the end as well. So this is one of my favorite quotes. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And so I'll give you a little bit of background about me in case you don't know me, just briefly, to show you how this came about. So this is why I love that quote when he says, everyone has a plan until they get punched, because that was pretty much my life. I had, until this picture, lived a life where I set goals, I would work really hard, and I would achieve them. Maybe you can relate to that, that you had a season of your life where when you put your mind to it, you reached those goals, whether it was college, the job you wanted, the career you wanted, whatever. But we all at some point have a season where we get punched. And so for me, this is actually a decade ago. This is very meaningful. It's another reason I wanted to do this training, because it's amazing what can happen after the punch. For me, at this time, I was going through a painful divorce, a devastating end to my final pregnancy. The job that I had was about to be terminated in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so that's how I ended up in Atlanta. I'm doing this from Atlanta today. And I was considered obese, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, and incredibly depressed. And so this began my spiral into, okay, what now? And it actually is where the birth of my life coaching came from. And so I teach something called the 4D intersection, that at some point, all of us, you know, I don't want you to get so caught in my story. I want you to see yourself in this. All of us reach what I call this 4D intersection. And no one teaches us how to get through this intersection. You know, we have that season of our life where we're in school and it's very linear. You know, you do the curriculum that's given to you, you get the grade that you're told to get, and then you pass. So it's very linear. We get the job, we have performance reviews then, but then there's life. And this 4D intersection could be a disappointment that you've gone through, a diagnosis, a death or a divorce, or dealing with a season change. You know, several of my clients, they're dealing with a season change where their children don't need them the same way they used to, or they're dealing with a season change where they're caring for aging parents, or they're dealing with a season change where they are having to adjust to life without some people that they've had all their life. They're in a season of grief. So this intersection, when we have that punch, is where I notice that most people get stuck. And so this work is about the strength to create a new life, because that's exactly what I did. So this is, again, a picture on the left. And I want you, as I'm reading my new life goals that I had 10 years ago, to think about what you really want to create in your life. You know, on the left, again, 10 years ago, my goal was to release 20 pounds, become an author, life coach, and speaker. create an online coaching business, have a healthy, committed marriage that's loving, and to have a new church family. And I put all of that on a vision board. And you see anchored in the middle of this vision board, this is important because I strongly advise you to surrender whatever goals that you have for 2020, to be prayerful about them, and to make sure that, you know, we have a birthright to dream as big and as broadly as we want, but always have a posture of surrender to God's will and plan for your life. That's the ultimate thing that we want to surrender to. No matter what we plan, we want to say, but if it's not your will, God, then I want your will over mine. So I like to just put that in there. So this is something that I created 10 years ago, almost this time of the year. And so I had 40 and Fierce and Fabulous. I was 39 at the time. I'm actually 49 now. And so I want you to know that the entire vision board that I created 10 years ago is now my reality. And my passion now is to help you create the same in your life. Because I struggled with hiring people where it was just a waste of my time. Well, I shouldn't say it's a waste of my time, but it wasn't the best investment of my life minutes. And I want you to avoid that. And so I did meet and marry and find love. I did become a professional speaker. I wrote 2 books. I did lose the 70 pounds. This is the Steve Harvey Radical Success Institute when that was still functioning. They've since dissolved that, but I did this Vision to Victory class for them. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know what it's like to be sitting at the end of one year and on that edge of a new year with all of this possibility in your heart and in your mind, and that you know God has more for you. And I hope and pray that's where you are, because this class is going to help you get there. And I have now done this in my life and in the lives, I'm grateful to say, of hundreds of other women. And I would love to add you to that list as well. So there's this process that I teach in my coaching practice. I'm not going to be able to go through all of it with you now, but I'm going to be focused on some components of the punch, the process, and the promise. We all have this 3-part continuum that after we're punched, there's a process that if we go through that process, then we get the promise of the life that God has for us. And that's what I want for you. And so again, I'm not able to share all of the process that I take my clients through, but I'm going to give you some good nuggets today to make 2020 your new year for your new life. All right. So this is the thing that we're going to begin with, that it's all about your perspective on your punch. That in order to make it through the process that I'm going to teach you today, your perspective on it has to be different in order to reach the promise of this new life. Your current perspective is one that you're going to have to be willing to let go of. And this is my prayer that I had before I got on this call, and this is the scripture, that I pray that your eyes of your heart will be enlightened, that you'll really know the hope that God has called for you, and that you have a rich inheritance. And you can look that scripture up and do a deep dive, but I want you to feel my heart on this, that I know the power of changing your perspective, even on the darkest and most painful things, that it can blow your mind when you're willing to integrate the principles that I'm about to teach you with your process. And even if you haven't been punched, just know that there's always a process to creating results. All right, so how are all results created? If you are new to me, you probably haven't heard of my thought tree. So I call it a thought tree because all of us have results that I like to say are reflected by the fruit of our life. Just like in the Bible, we're known by our fruit. And I have my actual thought tree right here on my desk, and you guys see it on the screen. So I want to just orient you to this thought tree to give you the components of it so that you can understand how all results are created. So at the base of the tree, we have circumstances. You know, the circumstances that I was going through 10 years ago, the divorce, the loss of my only son, job relocation, those are circumstances. And you have circumstances right now that you are planted in. And so as we're planted in these circumstances, most of us get stuck arguing with the circumstance, how it wasn't fair, it shouldn't have happened, I can't believe this, all of those things. So I'm going to invite you to look at right above the soil of where you're planted. That's where I like to say those are our thoughts. That's really the beginning of the creation of the fruit, the results in our life. And those thoughts I want you to imagine are like sentences in your brain. And depending on the sentence that you choose, and that's important that I said that, what I just said, that you choose, not the sentence that you adopt. Most of us have adopted thoughts from other people. Like, for example, when I went through the devastation of my pregnancy, I was sent to this support group called Empty Arms. And I left there more depressed than I was when I went. And I refused. And I know now, looking back, that it was the Holy Spirit that wouldn't let me adopt those thoughts, that I would always feel horrible about it and that I would always be in this excruciating pain. I just refused to adopt that thought. So that's just an example of how we go through life adopting thoughts. Another example is I'm 49 now. Just said that. But anyway, a lot of my peers, we are in menopause. And so a lot of them have adopted the thought that that means we will be overweight, we'll have a heavier, a thicker midsection. I refuse to adopt those thoughts. So I'm sharing this in detail with you because I really want you to start having discernment about your thoughts and understanding that you have a right to choose the thoughts that you want to have in this season of your life. And you have to be careful. We all have to be so careful that we aren't running our lives by adopted thoughts from this society. All right. So that's what's right above the soil. Now, depending on the sentence you choose, the thoughts, then will determine how you feel. That's the trunk of the tree. You see here on the screen, the feelings here. That's how you feel inside. Emotions, energy in motion. It's all based on the thought. Now, depending on how you feel, that leads to the branches on the tree, the actions. You see right here, the actions. The actions can be both internal and external. And what I mean by that is there are habitual ways of thinking that we experience based on how we're feeling. Okay? And there are habitual ways of behaving. And so when you combine those habits, both internal and external actions, then that's why you have the current results or the fruit in your life. Every result that you have in your life, whether physically, how much you weigh right now, is a result initially of a thought. Your finances, your relationships. And so most of us are taught to change our actions. And I don't want to get ahead, but a lot of trainers out there, a lot of coaches will invite you to just focus on what to start doing and stop doing. But what I really want you to get from this example is that all results are created from what I call the thought, feel, act cycle. What you think determines what you feel, then it supports how you will act. And unfortunately, most of us have been conditioned to think, to focus on changing actions. Work out, don't eat this, eat that, do this, don't do that. But true results that are sustainable and that can ground you through the different punches of life have to begin with your thinking. Okay, so hopefully I did that slow enough for those of you who are new to me, for you to really get that this is how all results are created. They're not created by the branches, at least not long term. They are created by the thoughts. Okay, and the key thing in you being able to consistently create results you want is releasing your control of your focus of trying to change your circumstances. It's so important that you get this. Your circumstances, most of the time, are God's business or someone else's business. But we're planted in different circumstances through different seasons of life as women. You know, when we're in our 20s, that's a very different season than, now I'm knocking on the door going into my 50s, and, my clients who are knocking on the door going into their 60s and 70s. Our seasons change. But what does not change is the methodology of how you create results in your life. So all of the fruit, all of the results that you have in your life now began with a thought. Okay? And I'll open this up for Q&A at the end. So, but that's how all results are created. Now, as you move through this year, these are the things that I want you to avoid. Who remembers cassette tapes? I can see you raising your hand. I'm showing my age here. It's outdated, right? If I went into the store saying I wanted to, look for a cassette tape for the latest sermon, people would look at me like I'm crazy. And so I want you to look that same way when people are offering you these outdated approaches that I want you to avoid. All right. And so focus on, I think someone's raising their hand. Okay. I'm not going to take questions right now. So let me just get through all of maybe you were raising your hand, outdated approaches. Okay. So an outdated approach is one that focuses mainly on actions for you to stop or actions to start. So if you're wanting to get fit this year, the thing that is outdated is to just focus on changing what you put in your mouth, or changing how you move your body, or changing how much water you drink. The reason it's outdated is because it's incomplete. The science on how our brain creates feelings and emotions, that's just now catching up in my mind. I believe the Bible led and the science is catching up. That's just now coming together, where all of the pieces that we now have evidence that it's not just about what we're doing. It has to also include what we're thinking. All right. If you've ever started out so excited and you have a real knowing, an intellectual knowing of what to do, but then you find yourself not doing what you know, then that's because you may be trying to subscribe to an outdated approach. It's the equivalent of trying to do the cassette tape. Another outdated approach that I want you to really be cautious of in this new year is an approach that addresses the outcome, but not your outlook. And what I mean by that, outcome and not outlook, is that a lot of us as women, sometimes we're motivated by change because of what we don't like about ourselves. Like, I'll have clients that say, Cledra, I hate that I've gotten to this weight, or I hate my career, or, I hate this relationship that I'm in. And that is outcome. Your outlook, the premise of it, the beginning of it, can never be from a place of hatred, because hate is not a long-term motivator. So whatever you weigh right now, wherever you are financially, I want you to love yourself unconditionally in that place. And that your outlook is that you want to create change from a loving place, not because you hate it. That is so important. And I see so many trainers still perpetuating what I call body shame. Whatever weight you're in, you are now, whatever relationship status, financial status, you still deserve unconditional love, acceptance, and compassion and grace. So addressing outcome but not outlook is an outdated approach. The other thing is, there's nothing in place for failing to follow the plan other than get back on track. Okay, so you fell off the wagon. So this is the thing. Whatever you are going to do in 2020, you're going to have some mistakes. It happens to all of us. We mistakenly believe that this is going to be some linear process, whether it's that business or relationship or weight. There's going to be days where you're like, I don't want to do any of it. And you need a plan in place so that you can have what I call productive failure. And productive failure means that you produce lessons from failing to do what you said you were going to do. Unproductive failure is when you just decide that to label yourself as undisciplined, as not having willpower. And I'm passionate about this because I believe the message is for us as women. There's a subtle message that when we deviate from what we said, then there's something inherently wrong with us. And I want you to know that deviating is just the price of entry to where you want to go. I would be lying to you to say that I made up my mind to lose 70 pounds and I never overate. Please, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so I don't subscribe to those kinds of programs that have language like you fell off the wagon, you fell off track. There is no wagon. There is no track. It's the journey of your beautiful life. And there are lessons in everything. Lessons that we can learn, and there can be what I call productive failure in it all. So do not allow yourself to subscribe to something that either you're drinking the green smoothies or you're, pulling up to the back of Popeyes, ordering all the new fried chicken sandwiches. Okay. Some other outdated approaches: using willpower. People who rely heavily on willpower and coach that way, they haven't updated their teaching principles. We have so much science now to suggest that willpower fatigues. There's something called decision-making fatigue. And what that means is you make decisions all day long, and especially as your life gets more complicated. When we were single and we just had to focus on ourselves and maybe, living with our parents, life was very different. Then you add layers of complexity where you get married or you get divorced or you have a loss of a loved one, a diagnosis. You go through that 4D intersection. What ends up happening is you add a job on top of that. You're making decisions all day long. You guys are making decisions about things all day long. And so willpower fatigues. So if you've ever set up your day to eat clean, work out, and work on your business after work, and none of it happens, I want you to give yourself some grace and compassion, because you may have been subscribing to something that was outdated. And that goes to also focusing on discipline, the language of if you want it bad enough, you will have it. I absolutely do not believe in that. The reason I know that I wanted it really bad. I wanted my marriage bad. I wanted a baby bad. It had nothing to do with what I wanted. And I want you to know that this has nothing to do with your desire to change or your lack of discipline. I bet if I sat with you right now that you have accomplished several things that required a lot of discipline. All right? It's just we all have those areas where it's challenging for us to transfer that discipline into that category. And so again, grace. Another outdated approach is not upgrading your thinking. It's going in and another thing that I cringe about is when I see women with pictures of themselves that are 10 or 20 years old. They're like, I want to get back to that. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Why would you want to dismiss all that God has done for you? All of the wisdom, the nuggets and the lessons, the life lessons and the journey. I want you to value your journey. All of it, because it all is combined to create this masterpiece called you. All right. And then last thing, not setting goals and resolutions and just winging it. If you've been discouraged and you don't set resolutions anymore because you haven't reached them, I want you to forgive yourself for that. And, after this training, my prayer is that you're like really inspired to set the vision, to surrender it to God, and then to go after it. And I'm going to show you what going after it actually means. So those are some of the outdated, you want to do a screenshot of this, these just, you guys are going to get the replay. So don't subscribe to any of these. All right. So how to create the new results you want in the new year. We're to the good stuff now. Let's dig in. It goes to your brain. Now, what I left out is my training is in chemical engineering. I have 2 degrees in engineering, minor in nutrition, double certification in life coaching, blah, blah, blah. Why am I saying that? Because I'm a nerd, okay? And I am so passionate about learning how to make our brain work for us as an ally instead of something that we have to fight against. And this passion around the brain and part of this apple tree came from when my maternal grandmother, she actually passed away due to a brain tumor. And I did a deep dive into the brain and understanding it and learning all I could about it. Because I don't know if you've ever, been devastated by a loss of someone and you're like, I just got to understand this a little better. And so that was in like the early 90s. So to give you an idea of just how long I've been doing this, and chemical engineering is all about learning how to optimize a process. And I did that for a long time with equipment, but now I do it with people, with women. And it's about optimizing your brain to function at a level where you then can have the best life possible. And so creating these results, I like to simplify the concepts of neuroscience to help you engage the part of your brain that wants to work with you, as opposed to that part that's like, forget it. Let's just get the double cheeseburger. Let's binge on Netflix. Let's not work on our book or our business. Let's not date online. Whatever it is that you do, we all have this menu that we choose from of self-sabotaging behaviors where we're not taking the action to create the fruit or results that we want in our life. So don't be overwhelmed by this. I'm going to simplify it, and if you want these worksheets, you can let me know. So this is the thing. You have to look at the fact that there are two different brains that are operating with you creating your new results in 2020. There are your current thoughts that are creating your current results. All right. Remember, we went through the thought tree. You have a set of thoughts. And for a lot of us, those thoughts are on a subconscious level. And so the work that I'm going to do in this training, a little bit of it, is to help you bring those thoughts to the surface. It's almost like putting a little red flag, if you can imagine a little red flag on your thoughts, so that when they come up after this training, they're not under the radar anymore. They're actually thoughts that you can identify, and you can say, oh, okay, I'm on to myself. I know what that is. The way this plays out, I want to give you an example is, again, I keep using food as an example because I believe most of us can relate to that, is if you find yourself contradicting, in a behavior that's contradictory to the results that you want. So for example, you say, I want to work on my business. I have clients who they're retiring in the next 3 to 5 years or 8 years. And so they want to build another business on the side, and they'll come home and instead of working on the business, they'll watch TV. Now, if left at the level of working on just actions, which again, that's an outdated approach, you know that now, then that kind of coaching would just say, well, you need to discipline yourself, and after work, don't turn on the TV, go straight to your office. But the way I want to direct you is to look at what am I thinking? All right. So usually when my clients are engaging in sabotaging behavior, or even for me, there's a feeling that we want to avoid. Every action, I really want you to get this, we take is because of the way we believe it will make us feel, or the feeling that we can avoid. And so when we're watching TV and we said that we wanted to work on our business, the feeling we could potentially be avoiding is the chance that that business may not make it. Because as long as I can stay in this dreamlike state of, oh, my business is going to blow up, it's going to be amazing, I've been great in corporate, I'm going to have this amazing business now on the side. As long as we can stay in that space, then it doesn't place a demand on us emotionally to really face the reality of our skill set with growing this business. Am I making sense? So that's how we bring that thought that, initially you may think, oh, why am I just watching TV after work when I said I wanted to work on my business? We put a red flag on it, and we know that, okay, it's because I'm afraid that I may fail. And we bring that to the surface, all right? So the thoughts, that's just an example of thoughts of how you're creating your current results. And the thing that you have to cross over to, you see, this is like a river. There's a river that we have to cross to get to the brain that has the thoughts that we need to have what we want in 2020. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And we use the actual thought tree. So I took you through what this meant, all the components of it. And so there are different trees in this river. You see how this looks like a river? There are different trees that you will have to create intentionally to get to this side in order to renew your mind from the current level of thinking to the level of thinking that you need that will create the results that you actually want. Now I'm going to unpack this some more, so stay with me. This is how we're going to unpack it. All right, you can take a screenshot of this. This is the good stuff here. With how to actually do this. I've highlighted the what, now we're going to dig into the how. I want you to stop and think, who or what have you used as reason to create the results you currently have? Who or what? Stop and think about it. I'm going to give you some ideas to trigger your thinking. Have you used the fact that you are busy? You have a busy schedule. Have you used your family? Have you used your parents? Have you a spouse? Having one or not having one? Have you used the fact that you didn't feel like it? Have you used something at that 4D intersection that we talked about? Have you used your children? I'll have women that say, you know what? I'm heavy because of my children. I can't work out because of my children. My children, their schedules are so demanding, then that's why. We're peeking into your mind now, and I want you to think, who or what have you used as reason for your current results? Unsupportive friends. Have you said, you know what, if I had an accountability partner, I'd be so much better? Have you used too much to do? Have you said, I'll do it when things calm down? This is just not a good time. Lack of confidence or self-pity. You know, these are some examples that I am giving you to trigger some of the things to think about. What have you said? This is important that you're onto yourself. What have you said, or who have you used, or what situation have you said to yourself, that's the reason I can't take the action to get the results that I want? This is very, very important, because there's nothing magical that's going to happen when that calendar switches to January 1st, 2020, that's going to make these thoughts go away. And so we have to bring them up and put a little red flag in all of them so that they cannot go under the radar in 2020. Huge step, okay? So step one is taking 100% responsibility for every result in your life. Now, if you're like me, when I first heard this, I was like, no, because I wouldn't feel like this if I wasn't going through a divorce. I wouldn't have this weight if I didn't have a pregnancy that failed, and everyone gains weight when they're pregnant. I had so many reasons outside of me for why I was not creating the fruit that I wanted in my life. But I want you to really get what I said. Circumstances are what I call neutral. They don't have any emotional charge to them until we, once we are planted in them, choose a thought. And so after this training, I want you to look at every result in your life and say, I take 100% responsibility for every result. The beauty in this is that you then have 100% ability to change it. And the reason I want you to really get this, that thoughts are not about morality. It's not about right or wrong. Could it be that I'm right that you gain weight when you're pregnant? You guys could be saying, yeah, you gain weight when you're pregnant. It's not about right or wrong. The thought that you choose, it's about, does it serve and support the result that you want? Period. It's not a judgment statement. It is this a supportive thought? And does it serve me for what I want right now in this season for the results that I want in my life? That is step one. All right. Step two, be faithful to your word. This is huge for us as women. I want you to think about the person you're faithful to the most right now. Chances are you didn't come to mind. All right. This work about this whole concept of being faithful to you. Excuse me, hold on. I shared this in a recent class and everyone loved it, and so I want to share it here. I was sitting across from my divorce attorney crying. I mean, I really wanted my marriage, and the idea that I was going to go through a divorce at the time was just so, it was so hard for me to wrap my mind around. My parents, I watched them go through good and bad and just love each other through it all, and that's what I wanted to do, but it wasn't going to happen. And so I realized as I was sitting across from my divorce attorney that I had been so faithful to this man, but I had been so unfaithful to me. I had been unfaithful to that voice that told me something was wrong. I had been unfaithful to the nudging of the Holy Spirit that told me to take action. I had been unfaithful. And I want you to look at your fidelity and faithfulness to yourself. And a lot of times, when you think about the person you were committed to the most, at that time, that was my husband. I was so committed to him. I was so committed to digging in. I read every book written, I think, probably, okay, that's exaggeration. I read a lot of books about saving your marriage. I dug deep. But then when it came to me, I was so willing to say, oh, it's just not a good time. Oh, I just don't feel like it. I was all in, whether I felt like it or whether I didn't. And I want you to bring that level of faithfulness to you. Chances are you have a high level of commitment and faithfulness, whether it's to a husband, a child, a parent. You would not dare tell them that you're going to be somewhere at a certain time and not show. You would not dare say, this is what we're going to do, and then just act like it never happened. You would not dare say that this is where we're going to go, and then go home and just sit on the couch and not even call them. You wouldn't do it. And I want to wake you up to having that level of faithfulness and fidelity for you and your word. It is so hard to be in a relationship with somebody you can't believe. I've been in one, okay? Several, maybe 10, or choices on my part. But when that relationship is you, it is unbearable. And it can actually lead to depression because there's nothing like losing your ability to believe in your own word. And if you have lost it, I want you to love on yourself. This isn't about condemnation. This is about awareness. Remember, we are bringing this stuff to the surface that maybe has been going under the radar, that we have been allowing and settling and saying it's okay. And we are saying, I'm putting a little red flag in that because it's not okay in 2020. I'm going to have a new year, God willing, and a new life with new results. And that's going to require a new level of faithfulness to myself. I want you to really own that. I am passionate about that for us as women. I see the fidelity to everyone outside of us. And then when it comes to us, we question whether we can be faithful to ourselves. We have been faithful under challenging circumstances with others. All right? It's a little hot button for me. Step 3, be intentional about your thinking. Remember I said that thinking isn't about morality or whether it's right or wrong. It's all about, does it serve and support you? I want you to really start having your own back in your mind. What I mean by that is you're being your best friend in your mind and start being discerning. Is that thought supportive? Does that serve me? So many of us call ourselves such horrible names in our mind, things that we would never say to someone else. Or we don't give ourselves grace or margin when we deviate from what we said we were going to do. And so I want step 3 is all about being intentional about your thinking every single day. With my clients, I have them do daily things called a thought download, where you get this stuff out of your brain. You know, this is not like when I was in college, we didn't have all this stuff, coming at us with social media. We didn't have a phone where we had access to everything. We didn't have TV that was round the clock. There's no pause. There's no mental pause for us anymore. And so we have to be really intentional about our thinking because we're always being programmed by our external environment. Okay? So I want to give you a client case example. She was great at work, great at managing her family. Maybe you can relate to this. You knock it out of the park when you go to work. You are knocking it out of the park when it comes to caring for your family. I mean, you don't miss a beat. But when it comes to you, a beautiful woman in the mirror, you are inconsistent with your workouts and eating right. You relate to this? And so the step 1 is taking 100% responsibility. My client who's like this, she was blaming the demands of her family. She was blaming that she had a job that was really challenging and she was working 60 hours a week. And I helped her see that instead of using those things as reasons why you can't, use those as evidence why you can. And so many of us as women, we use all of the things that we bring our best to as reasons to say that because I'm giving my best and my all to this, I struggle over here. And I want you to look at, okay, I'm pretty awesome in my family. I've managed some challenging things in my relationship. I have been an incredible mom. I have buried people I love and I'm still standing. I want you to start patting yourself on the back. And it's sometimes we as women, it's hard to think like that, especially in the Christian community, because we're taught to be humble. We're taught to not have pride. But I want you to feel good about the strength and grace that God has given you in these other areas of your life and know that you can use that same strength for what matters to you and your heart and your true passions, and take 100% responsibility. All right? Start being faithful to your word. If you said you are having lean protein in a salad, or if you're choosing 2020 to be the year you go vegetarian, you do it. You do it or you don't say it. Start having that standard. I do it or I don't say it. Period. And it doesn't mean being perfect, but it's a standard that you don't negotiate. For those of you who are married, you don't just say, you know what, I really just don't feel like going home. I feel like going home with somebody else tonight. I'm just going to do it. If you are like that, then you probably got some challenging relationships. Or, you know what, I'm low on money. I think I'll just roll by Bank of America and rob them and get what I want. No, you have a standard. And you want to bring that same standard and that code of conduct to you, to that woman in the mirror, the beautiful woman in the mirror that you are. Be faithful to you. And then we worked on being intentional in her thinking. So the result, she lost 25 pounds. She's taking consistent action to write her book, and she's clear about the thoughts for the result she wants to create. That's just an example. So what do you want to create in your life for 2020? I want you to just stop and think about that. We're what, 45 minutes in? Really think about it. And I hope it brings a smile to you. Me just saying it to you makes me smile and light up on the inside. Why? Because I have thoughts. I envision all of you making it happen. Having that fruit in 2020 that lights your heart up. Having that fruit that changes our world. You're talented. And I'm sure whatever it is that you're wanting to create is going to help other people, even if the example of creating new fruit, that is so inspiring. There are people who, as a result of you creating new fruit, you're going to give them hope. This is so much bigger than us as individuals. So much. So much. And when you think about what you want to create in 2020, imagine how it would feel to say, I did it. To have those results instead of the regret. And I want you to know that it's possible. It is possible to even make the impossible possible. I am a witness. When I tell you I had so much doom spoken over my life about what I never do, what was not possible, but I refuse to adopt those thoughts. And I want you to refuse to adopt those thoughts as well. I don't care if you've always been overweight, or you've always been someone who procrastinated, or you've always been someone who didn't stick to it. So what? So what? This is a new day, and you had not taken this training. Okay? I want you to really hold on to that. So you have two options. Now that you know how results are created, the outdated approaches to avoid, all right? And now I have shown you how to actually create the new results you want in the new year, okay? So you have two options now. Option one, take this info and do it on your own. You certainly have enough information to do this on your own. That is option one. And that's you have it, you're good. You can even jump off if you want to, right? Now, option two, you can get support. You can get support, okay? And support from me to help you. And so I want to give you an idea of how I do this with my clients and how I help them create results that they want every day. It's beautiful to think about what we're going to do for 2020. But when we really get down to it, it's what we do every day. It's what we do in the moment. Every moment creates momentum or it doesn't. And it's getting to the point where you put those little red flags in your thought process, your mental circuitry that is unique to you, that is the reason you're creating the results right now that you are like, okay, I could use some new results. All right. So I'm going to share with you. Remember I said I had the punch, the process, and the promise? None of this is done in an hour training session. It's done over time. So I want to share with you how I do that. So now I have two ways that my clients work with me, but I'm going to just share this one today. And this in group coaching called Freedom Academy. And I created this because with the years of helping people, whether it's lose weight or get online to date or find love again, is that I found that there's so many layers to this. That once we set one goal, there's like another challenge that's right behind that. It never stops. I've been doing this now for a decade. It doesn't stop. We get excited about new fruit, but then with new fruit comes new challenges, right? And so in the Freedom Academy, this empowers you to become an intentional thinker. Hopefully by now with this training, you understand why it's important to be an intentional thinker, because we're surrounded by so much programming. Social media programming, television programming. It's all around us of what we should be as women and what we should think. And it's so important that you immerse yourself in this process, in my opinion, of being intentional about your thinking every single day. Hopefully you see this too. Why is this important? Because thinking determines your ultimate results, right? And there's a lot of money made on us as women for making us think poorly about ourselves. Because the worse you can feel about yourself, the more you're going to consume. Whether that's food because you feel so bad about yourself, or these fad diets because you feel so bad about yourself, or hanging on to a bad relationship because you feel so bad about yourself, or spending money that you don't have because you feel so bad about yourself. Making money on us feeling bad about ourselves is big business. And so that's another reason I'm so passionate about teaching you how to be intentional about your thinking and the results you are called to create in your life. So I want you to imagine pursuing your dream and believing in possibilities again. I know how hard it is to believe again when you've been punched. I know, I get it. I also know that you can press through that river. All right. I want you to imagine being true to you and not settling. You know, if a relationship is your goal next year, then the first relationship that needs to be amazing is the one you have with God and yourself. That is the first. Those two relationships need to be off the charts. Amazing. You know, I tell people when I started the goal of loving again, it was a very different process than the first time. The first time I had an agenda. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to do this and this. The second time it was like, because I was so full of love and so full of things that I wanted to share and give, then that's why I wanted to add someone to my life. Not because I needed someone to complete me or to make life in a way that I wasn't possible without them. All right? Because I had that faithfulness began with God and me. And that's what I want you to learn how to do, because it changes everything. And then imagine having the courage and confidence to move to next. So many things punch us and punch us and punch us. And, you know, even the most confident of us and the most assured, we can have those doubts. Can I really do this? Is it really possible at this age? Is it really possible to get this weight off after I carried it so long? Is it really possible to love again after my heart has been shredded? Is it possible to heal from something devastating? Yes, yes, and yes is what I'm telling you. I know it for myself. I teach this from my heart. I teach this because I know this is what I'm called to do. That is the ultimate freedom. And you'll see that you can go, you know, don't go to Cledra.com now, but I'm just reading what's on there. But you're going to get monthly access to trainings just like this. Imagine having this every single month. We're going to have a training like this. You'll also have an implementation guide. I'm big on you pulling this information through. What I mean by that is not just consuming it, but pulling it through. So you have implementation guides every single month. And then you and I will meet like this every single week, where you ask me questions. I hold you accountable. We go through, what were you thinking when you do find yourself watching Netflix instead of your book, or you are, you know, you had the all you can eat at Popeyes or whatever, or Cinnabon or whatever it is. Again, whatever your menu is, you went on a shopping spree when you said this was the year you're going to go on a budget. We can talk about it. And not just say, get back on the wagon or what's wrong with you, but I'm going to show you how to dig into your mind, your brain. When you understand the process of how you create results that you don't want, it changes everything. Because like I said, you're going to be able to put those little red flags in your thoughts that are now under the radar, causing you to sabotage yourself. We're going to bring them up, put the red flags in them with compassion and love. And then you're going to be able to create the results you want, whether you're busy, whether your children are getting on your nerves, whether your husband, you want a divorce, and whatever, okay? Whether you're going through whatever, you're going to be able to do it because it's going to be about you on the inside. So the Freedom Academy, like I said, you have monthly training that's valued at $250. We have a weekly live group coaching call that, like we're doing now, that's valued at $250. My private clients, it's $250 an hour, and a monthly implementation guide. And then you can put the price on weekly accountability. It's valued at $550. But this is the thing: after years of doing this, I'm changing the whole way that I coach and having a subscription process where you guys can come in and have immediate access to your classes. No more emailing your classes, being like, please, I didn't get the email. Please, what time is the class? It's all in a membership portal now that I've created, so that even if you're not on Facebook, you can have access to the classes. You have weekly access to me. You have weekly access to training. And so it's $97 a month. And if you're interested in that, again, it's immediate access. And I want to share with you some of the things that you have immediate access to. December, the class, we were working on making the impossible possible. And in that class, I go through how to hack your brain for something that you may have once considered to be impossible. So that's the class that you'll have immediate access to. You'll also have access to Conquering Overwhelm. The November class is it's all about conquering overwhelm and conquering overeating. So those classes are readily available. So that's the Freedom Academy in a nutshell. I have kept you almost an hour. So this is the deal. I want you to make 2020 your new year. It doesn't have to be a continuation of what has been. It does not. For your new life. You can do that on your own. And I certainly, I'm not one of these people like, you can only do it with me. That's not true. You can do it on your own, or I'm here for you if you'd like to have the support. It's your choice. It's your life. It's your new year. All right. So that's what I have for you. I'm going to stop the sharing and answer questions for you guys now. Let me see. Will you be sending out this deck for those who attended? Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for your question. I will be sending out this slide deck. You guys will get this. I got so hot, my eyeliner's all off. You guys will get this slide deck and this presentation, the full presentation, not the actual slides. I don't send out my slides. I will send the complete presentation. You can always pause and take screenshots of any slide that you need. I want you to have what you need. Like I said, if you want to move forward on your own, you certainly can do that. If you want support, you certainly can do that as well. What I don't want you to do is to subscribe to what's outdated and incomplete, and then get mad at yourself because it didn't create the results you wanted. Just know that you were just subscribing to something that was never going to work anyway. Okay? The main message I want you to hear is that this begins with your thinking, and that there's a lot of competition for your attention out there. There's a lot of competition for what you think about yourself. And it's directing us as women to think poorly about ourselves and to always have this perpetual state of, it's not enough, it should be more, it should be perfect before I do it. All of this that keeps us wound up. And I want you to release that. And whatever it is that maybe you put on the shelf prior to this training, thinking that it's impossible, I want you to pull that back up. I want you to pray about it. And I want you to know that you can do all things through Christ. That you can heal, you can move forward, and you can create a life, listen, that can blow your mind, because you can't outdream God. And when you are in alignment with his will, oh my gosh, there's no better place to be. I'm a witness. All right. Oh, okay, we got 3 more questions. All right, you guys. Someone says, thank you for this. It's truly been eye-opening. You're welcome. Thank you for a great lesson. I'll see you in Freedom Academy. All right. I see some people joining Freedom Academy already. Excellent. So I'm going to stay on. What questions do you have for me? Let me grab a little bit more water. I feel like my voice is getting dry. So just type it in. Any questions you have. Okay, someone asked, do I give a diet and a meal plan? No. This is what I do. I help you create what I call a freedom plan. I don't believe there is a person who knows you better than you. I just believe we as women have been taught to disconnect and detach from how we feel and to not trust ourselves. So what I do is I take you through this process of first educating you about how food is engineered now to make us eat more and more and more and more. That whole "you can't eat just one" by Lay's potato chips, that's intentional design. You guys know I said I was majored in chemical engineering, and in the 90s I interviewed for food companies. That was when the fat-free era came. And a lot of the engineers that food companies hired are the same engineers that tobacco companies hired. And there are specific chemicals that are in our foods that light different parts of our brain up to make us want more and more and more. So I do a deep dive into educating you on that, the science of it, and then I teach you how to create your personal freedom plan. I believe that when we learn how to listen again from the inside instead of from the outside, that most powerful voice, to that most loving voice that loves you more than anyone else is capable of loving you, that the plan that you create for what you put in your mouth is one that has to come from you. And that's why I call it the freedom plan, because it's the ultimate freedom. So I don't give a diet plan, I obviously, will tell, not obviously, I will educate you. I'm big on giving you the tools so that then you can build a new life that you want on your terms based on what God is saying to you. I believe these coaches who are prescribing all of this stuff to you, they don't know enough. So I'm directing you inside of you and to time with God. That's all part of my coaching too. I highly encourage that time with God and studying his word. I don't want to do a deep dive on that, but it's more of a process. Remember I said it's the punch, the process, and the promise. So that process is pretty deep that I've created over this decade of coaching women. All right. Let's see other questions. Are you a full, okay, hold on. Is coaching in 3, 6, 12 months blocks or month to month? Excellent question. So the subscription program is month to month, no contracts. You can come in 1 month, you can come in 12 months. You decide. You can quit at any time. Anytime. I do that because I really want you to assess your life and say, yes, I need coaching another month. Or you know what? I assessed it. No, I don't. So you can come and go if you want. I highly recommend you stay at least 12 weeks because it takes some time for us to do life together and to be on calls like this every week. But if you get in after a month and you're like, well, it's not for me, you send me an email and my team will cancel. So it's like a subscription to the gym that you go monthly. So you stay as little or as long as you want. So hopefully that answered that question. Next question. Are you a full-time coach or do you juggle another career as well? Excellent question. I am full-time. I am so thankful to say that this past November, well, last month, was my 3rd year of doing this full-time. I did it on the side 7 years before it grew to the point where I felt comfortable to let my corporate job go. But that was after 7 years of investing really heavily in coaching and attending trainings like this. I still attend trainings like this. I still have a life coach. I believe strongly in life coaching. I probably will always have a life coach. So I do this full time. And that's part of the virtual platform that I've built with the Freedom Academy. Actually, my husband and I founded the Freedom Academy. He does all of the back end work. He's a software engineer. So you guys will see it when you log in. You'll get your personal login. It's a membership portal, and you'll have access to so many classes already, so that you're never able to go more than 7 days where you feel like, you know what, Cledra, I'm not getting it done. I don't want you to have months that go by. Challenges are going to come. Things continue to happen. I was away from home 12 days over Christmas. I was supposed to be gone 7, but I had a cousin that passed away. These things continue to happen. Learning how to do life as seasons change. And I want to create a community where you have access to someone who can help you do that. So it's full time. I don't juggle another career. Okay, let's see what else. How do you stop the non-intentional thinking that doesn't benefit you? Excellent question. So we don't necessarily stop it. We're not going to be able to stop it. We're going to be able to raise our awareness. And the way that we do that, I gave you that analogy of how the thoughts right now are under the radar and how we raise them and put little red flags in it. And the way we do that is in the Freedom Academy, you'll go through my process of doing daily thought downloads, and you'll start to be able to examine your brain and not just examine your outcomes. Remember I said one of the outdated approaches was to look at outcome and not outlook? So I'm going to coach you and teach you how to look at your outlook every single day so that you raise your awareness. Now, I don't want you to think this takes a whole lot of time. This is 5 minutes. And then every week we'll get on the call like this, and you'll be able to ask me questions based on what life you experienced that week, and I'll be able to help you see yourself. I hope that makes sense. That's why it's so important. Like I said, you can do this on your own, but when it becomes difficult when you need that feedback. So it's difficult to give yourself feedback on yourself. I don't. I've done this over a decade, and I still have a coach who helps me see my brain because we're in it, right? And so sometimes it's hard for us to see, oh, okay, I am blaming this and this and this on why I'm not getting things done. Remember, step 1 is always 100% responsibility. And that sounds like a simple concept, but it is not easy to apply. It's not easy to apply. All right. Excellent question. So we don't stop it. We raise our awareness. Another person, thank you, Cledra. What an eye-opener. Punch, process, promise is a definite need in my life. Digesting this training has changed my vision board from things to me. You're welcome. Excellent. So which day of the week is the weekly coaching session and what time of the day? Excellent question. So when you log into the portal, you'll have a calendar there where for the entire month, I have all of the trainings. And so the majority of the time, the trainings will either be on a Tuesday or a Saturday or a Sunday. I'd say majority in this 3 different days because I like to alternate depending on what's happening in my life. But this is the thing, you always have access to the classes and you always will have access to me in your membership every week. So let's say you can't make it. You can send me a question and say, Cledra, this is what happened to me this week. I don't know what happened. I planned my meals. I didn't follow any of them. And so I will walk you through the different things to ask yourself and to unpack it so that you can, again, every week is all about me helping you see you and understand your thinking or how you're creating those results that you don't want. I'm telling you, it's powerful work. It's powerful work. So it varies, but you will always know a month in advance. So like you join today, you will, today is December 27th, so you'll have membership at least until January 27th. So you're going to already see the calendar for, well, December is pretty much over, but you'll see the calendar for January. That'll be populated probably by tomorrow. It's always the last Saturday of each month. January is all about how to be faithful to you. December, I showed you guys, was all about making the impossible possible. So I take you through a deep dive of understanding what it means to make the impossible possible. This isn't just semantics. It isn't just positive thinking. In fact, I don't subscribe to always thinking positively. You know, when I lost my baby and I went through my divorce, there was no way to spin that into something positive. So I'm passionate about not just saying something positive affirmations or choosing a word for the year. It's not that those things are wrong. They're just incomplete. They're incomplete. You have to have, in order to have complete understanding of how you're creating results, you have to get to the cause. And the cause is always right above your circumstances with the thought that you are choosing or potentially adopting. So many of us adopt a lot of thoughts and we don't even know that we are adopting thoughts, you know. So that was a long answer to winner classes. All right, so hopefully that asked. Thanks so much for this session. Very inspiring. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Any more questions? It's a little bit after 2. You guys have lots of questions. Let's make sure I answered all of them. So again, how do you join Freedom Academy? Okay, so just go over to Cledra.com, so Cledra, and you'll see Work with Cledra, and it'll be private coaching or the Freedom Academy. You click on Freedom Academy and you can read about it, and you can select Join the Academy. And like I said, you will immediately after you join, get your login, and you can have access tonight to make the impossible possible in the classes. It goes back at least 3 months, so you'll have a lot of great classes you can listen to. Let's see, what else here? Oh, someone said, well, what if I want private coaching? Okay, excellent question. So I didn't talk about private coaching on here. So private coaching, you have to apply for that because private coaching, we're one-on-one like this every single week of the month other than 1 week. And so that takes a lot of my energy. I pray for my clients. I pray for my clients, whether you're in group or private, but private, we're working together very intimately. I get to know you on a whole different level because it's just me and you. It's not everyone in the academy. And so there's an application process, and you can apply for that as well. You go to Work with Cledra, and you'll see private coaching, and you can apply, and you and I will have a consult. I require a consult before you can move forward with private coaching. That's because I want to make sure it's a fit for both of us. Because I'm really honest, I don't pick everyone because it has to be a fit. And for me, that fit is not just because you can pay me. It's also a spiritual fit. It's also a readiness fit because one-on-one, you know, we're going to be together 3 hours a month. So you have to be ready to be open to allow me access to your life and access to your thinking, your real thinking. You know, sometimes we are so, how can I say it, faithful or committed to an image that we're not ready for private coaching. Because private coaching, listen, I have a private coach, I'm breaking down crying. It's not pretty. And you have to be ready for that. And it's okay if you're not, you know. So that's why private coaching is not just click and join. And I only do a certain number of women. I mean, maximum number of women I take is 15 a year. And you know how many women carry over from 2019. It will depend on how many slots I have for 2020. So let me see. Uh, all right. I don't think I have, those are all the questions. All right, ladies, listen, whatever you decide, commit. Go all in. If you're going to do this on your own, commit. And if you do it on your own and you struggle with the feedback, promise me you'll get into the academy, that you will not allow another year to pass before you say, I should be doing something. All right? I'm here for you, and I am cheering for you. And know that this whole class, my heart's intent is that your eyes of understanding will be enlightened, and that you'll really get the inheritance that God has. It is an amazing one. Regardless of what has happened, I want you to just see me hugging you through it, saying that it's okay. It is well. It is well. That you can carry it, and you can have a next chapter that is mind-blowing. I'm a witness, and I know it's possible. And if you got to borrow my belief, you can borrow my belief. But do not give up on what your heart is whispering is possible to you, just because it may have been difficult. All right. So God bless. Thank you so much for attending. Welcome to those of you who are in the Freedom Academy. And I will talk to you guys later. You'll get the replay to this. God bless and enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Take care.